Hello friends, welcome back to YouTube channel of Edurba Academy. My name is Kevin, I'm your math tutor, and in today's lecture number 3 of basic concepts in geometry, we are going to solve practice set number 1 in the maths textbook. If you have still not watched lecture number 1 and 2 of this chapter, do so before solving practice set number 1. That will help you to solve the questions easily. So let's begin with question number 1 in the practice set 1. Look at the figure alongside and name the following. So we have to write the names of collinear points, rays, line segments, and lines. So let's solve them one by one. The first one is collinear points. We have already studied the definition of collinear points. When three or more points lie on a same straight line, they are called as a collinear points. That means in this figure, we have to find out three or more points which are on the same line. So if you observe this figure, on this line, we have point M, point O, and point T. They lie on the same straight line, and these are 3 points. So we can write them as collinear points. So points M, O, and T. These are collinear points. Similarly, if you observe this line here, on this line, point R, point O, and point N, they lie on a same straight line. That's why they are also collinear points. So let me write it here. So points R, O, and point N. These are collinear points. Now, if you observe here, these are only 2 points. Here also there are 2 points. So that means these are non-collinear points. So we got the answer of our first question. Next, we have to write rays. Now we have already studied that rays have a origin and they travel in one direction. Not only that, we have also studied that rays are also part of lines. So that means we have to search for the rays on the lines as well. So if you look at this figure, ray OP and ray OS, these are obvious rays because they have originated from point O and they travel into one direction. But rays are also present on the lines. So we can say that ray ON, ray OT, ray OR, and ray OM are also rays which are present on these two lines. So let them write one by one. So we have to write ray OP, ray ON, ray OT, ray OS, ray OR, and ray OM. So that covers all the rays in this figure. Third one is line segment. Now we have studied that line segments are pieces on the lines or rays. So we have to search for line segments on the lines as well as on the rays. So first let's begin with this line. On this line we have 3 line segments: segment MO, segment MT, and segment OT. So let me write it here. So segment MO, segment MT, and segment OT. So we covered all 3 segments on this line. Now let's look at this line here. On this line also we have 3 segments. So segment RO, which is this segment here, then segment RN, which is bigger segment between point R and N, and then we have third segment, which is segment ON. So this is the third segment on this line, segment ON. Now we covered both of them. Remaining is this ray. Segment can be there on the ray as well. So we have here segment OP on this ray, segment OP. Similarly, we have to cover the segment on this ray also. So we have segment OS on this ray. So that is how we could write all the names of segments in this figure. Now the fourth question is lines. So line has a clear definition. Line extends in both the directions. That means it needs to have arrows in both the directions. So this is a line because it has arrow in this direction as well as in this direction. So let me write the name line MT. Then this is also a line because it has arrow in this direction as well as in other direction also. So let me write it line RN. But this is not a line, this is a ray. It doesn't have arrow in other direction. Similarly, this is also not a line because it doesn't have arrow in other direction. So we have only 2 lines here, line MT and line RN. So this solves our question number 1. Now let's go to the question number 2. So here we have to write the different names of the lines. So let's begin with the first point here. So I'm going to write all the line names starting from A. So first name will be line AB. Then I'm going to write next name starting from A, which is line AC. Then the third name we start with the A, which is line AB. So I covered all the names starting from A. Now I'm going to move to point B. So the name starting from the B is BC. Then next name will be line BD. So which is nothing but this one. Then the third name I can start from the point C. So line CD. So that's how we covered all the names of the lines very easily. Now this is a third question where we have to match the following. So if you look at the first figure, it has arrows in both the directions. So we know that line has arrows in both the directions. So we can match it with the line. Then we have 2 points and a segment joining them. We can see that this is a line segment. Similarly, we know that we have a flat face, and flat face is nothing but a plane. So we can match it with the plane. And we know that it has a origin, 1 point, and the arrow is pointing only in one direction, and that is the definition of ray. So we can match it with the ray. So that's how we matched all the figures here with their names. The fourth question is, this figure is given to us and we have to name parallel lines, concurrent lines, and point of concurrence. So let's start one by one. The first one is we have to find out parallel lines. So we know that parallel lines, they are on the same plane and they never intersect each other even if we extend them in the direction of arrow. So let's begin with first line here, line A, and find out the lines which are parallel to this. So if you observe here, this line P looks parallel to line A. So let me write it here. Line A and line P, they are parallel to each other. Now that I have covered this, let me cover line B and let me check whether there are parallel lines to line B. If you observe carefully, line M looks parallel to line B. So let me write it here, line B, line M. So if you observe, line Q also looks parallel to line B. So even line Q is parallel to line B. So that's how we covered all the lines here which are parallel. Now what about C? It doesn't look like there is any line here which is parallel to C. So that means I can just ignore it. So that's how I covered line A and P are parallel. Similarly, line B, M, and Q are parallel to each other. Now let's find out the concurrent lines. So we know that if 3 or more lines pass through one point, they are concurrent lines. So let's look at the points. Here we have point A, and through the point A, how many lines are passing? The first line is horizontal line, which is line AB. The second line is line A, third line is line B, and fourth line is line C. So these 4 lines are passing through the point A. That means they are our concurrent lines. So let me write it here. Line AD, which is horizontal line. Then we have line A, line B, and line C. So these are passing through point A. That's why they are concurrent lines. Okay. Now let's see the second point here, which is point C. Through this point, only this line M and horizontal lines are passing. As per definition, there has to be more than 3 lines which is passing through the point. So these are not concurrent lines. Now let's look at point D. So through the point D, the horizontal line is passing. That means line AD is passing, line P is passing, and line Q is passing. These are 3 lines, and that's why we can say that these are concurrent lines because they are passing through the common point D. So let me write it, line AD, which is horizontal line, and then we have line P and we have line Q, which are passing through the point D, and that's why they are also our concurrent lines. So it's very easy to find it. You have to look at each point and find out how many lines are passing through that point. If the number is 3 or more, then we can say that these lines are concurrent lines. Similarly, we have to find out the point of concurrence, which is very easy because we already know that if 3 or more lines are passing through one point, that point is point of concurrence. And we have already found out that these were concurrent lines here and here. So that means point A and point D were our point of concurrence. So let me write it here. Point A and point D are our point of concurrence. So hopefully children, now you understand how to solve the practice set number 1 in the basic shapes in geometry. Now, if you like the lecture, do not forget to comment below and let me know, and also share this link with your classmates also so that they can also learn from this. So this concludes our 3 lecture series of the first chapter in your maths textbook, Basic Shapes in Geometry. In the next class, we are going to start the second chapter in the maths textbook, which is angles. So see you in the next class.